Good evening. Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that so called African American didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous one. And what we're going to talk about tonight this is something that goes on. It'll probably be going on for the next 100 years because the so called African Americans seems like they like being misinformed. And steps are taken, ways are made sure that we're stayed misinformed. We never know nothing. And we proudly take on that mantle like it's supposed to mean something. And that's the topic of what we're going to talk about today. As you know, the listeners of this program, you may have already heard that Biden, who has to be the sorriest president in the world ever, and who a lot of Negroes have voted for, licked in the mouth, Biden has pardoned Marcus Garvey. Now, when things like this happen, being that the African American, the normal African American Black, they're not equipped to think. They're equipped with taking orders. That's all. And they get pissed off when they're informed of what they do. Let me give you an example so you'll get what I'm saying. Because I don't want people to be saying, what are you talking about? No, no, no. This is something that we do. By the way, later on in the week and upcoming weeks, we're going to be talking about uh, the human area network and how humans normally work. Normally, you think it, you say it, and you do it. That's how it's set up. Most people that you refer to as African Americans, Black, those terms, they don't do that. They do what they're told. And if you want to know how that's done, well, like I said, we'll be talking about that. But back to this Marcus Garvey thing. Biden pardoned this dude 100 years. I'm sorry, it's not 100 years. Garvey died in 1940. This is what 85 years after his death. Now, you might want to ask yourself, those of you that think, and I know most of you do, those of you that think, be like, why would he pardon somebody's after they kicked them out of United States? Now they're partying them. Now, those Pan-African, those Afrocentrics, they're partying now. They're celebrating now. But the question I ask in a minute, Lisa Cyphers of the Accomac Nation is going to come on and give you a cold analysis of it. Why is he being pardoned now? And why are so many people happy? And you see the image on the screen. That's Marcus Garvey. Who's the guy standing behind him? Many of you already know that's Walter Plecker. And Walter Plecker was the cat who made sure your identity was changed so you can be tricked at every turn. It's exactly where the African American and Black is now. Marcus Garvey was used as one of his agents to make sure that happens. So I'm going to bring Lisa in now so she can give you her insight on that. And it's the exact same as mine. Lisa, why is this parting happening and taking place now?
Well, I mean, everything is about. Oh, it's why am I echoing? Am I echoing? Am I echoing? Okay. Anyway, um, this is because they're trying to assess our level of understanding. How much do we believe? How much can they, manipulate and fool us? How much do we really know, right? And if we are miseducated properly, then we're going to believe the ridiculous. Like, ooh, isn't Biden great? Isn't he wonderful? Isn't that great that they actually pardoned the great Marcus Garvey. See, if you understand, if you are actually, being the person that you need to be and investigating what's going on in the world and things that you're taught and questioning it and not trusting it, then you'll know that Marcus Garvey, he worked for the eugenics. He was an agent for the eugenics. He was working to remove the indigenous people's rights and our presence from our own country. The biggest traitor to our people that could ever be, not some great man. How are you going to be a great man and you telling people to leave the country that has all the beauty, resources, and, health and wealth more than any other continent? You're going to tell them to go to Liberia so you can have a better life. Leave what's yours. Leave the land patents. See, leave all the infrastructure that your people created in the planet to go somewhere and work your tail off to create something in somewhere where they don't want you. They don't want you there. That's what he was doing. That's what he did. And did he go to Liberia? Did he move there? I mean, I don't understand how people who are Pan-Africanists even worship him when they know he didn't go to Africa himself. How can you propose that others do something that you don't even want to do? At least some of those Negroes actually moved to damn Africa. At least a couple of them did, but Marcus Garvey didn't. Marcus Garvey, as soon as he got free from Jamaica, because he ain't no Jamaican, and Jamaican act like he's one of their own people. Well, he didn't want to be there. It was like jail for him. As soon as he got able to get out from under Jamaica, he went to, where did he go? Where did he go,
He
Carrie?
went to go live with his king and queen over in England and died there. I don't know if he died there, but that's where he spent the majority of his life while he was trying to tell you to go to Africa. Now you have clubs now. You have organizations now that were built in the 50s and 60s. They dedicated their lives to making sure Marcus Garvey remained viable. This is what the Pan African, this is what Black people do. See, now they get pissed off because we say this what they do, but they do it. And they're just patted on the head and rubbed on the belly to make you think that they're doing something wonderful. And they're not. But here's the good thing about all of this. They're showing you what they're doing. And like Lisa said, this is just something to see how dumb the so-called African and Black person really are. And Biden's going to say something. We're going to read some of the words that Biden said about this dude. Well, we believe everybody deserves a second chance. You deport him. Then 85 years later, you pardon him for tricking you. And the Pan-African, African-American Black claps up and stands and say yay for it. Explain why. Also, and keep this is very important to keep in mind. I want you this because I had a conversation with a young man in the group. He was like, well, why was I put out the group? Because, sir, we're trying to move people forward and you're talking backwards. So he'd be one of the guys who would praise Marcus Garvey. And I'm like, dude, we're not trying to do that. He couldn't understand it. He was pissed off because he wasn't allowed to speak. We let you speak, but you didn't take anybody forward. You just moved everybody back. That's how the normal African American and Black person talk. They're not making people grow, they're making people disappear. That's what they do. Now, if we say it, hey, this is what you're doing, I'm labeled what an asshole. I'm labeled any name you talking to the book, but I'm saying, dude, you want to make your people grow. You don't want your children to still think. So everybody sees how the church is dying out now. The church is dying out because there's people finding out about it. You still can't keep talking about the church and it held you in bondage for so long. We think, or the African American thinks, that that's the good thing. No, dude, you're trying to free your people from all this bullshit that they find themselves under. So, joining us on this phone call from New York City is Jay Smith. Jay Smith, what do you have to say about this? Marcus Garvey being pardoned.
Wow. I'll say wow first, but let me ask you a question. I missed the beginning, so I want to make sure I'm reading this right. I know what he represents and the character behind him. What precisely is he pardoning him from? What crime was it that he's pardoning him from?
Well, they said mail fraud. I don't. I really don't know what they were talking about. I really don't know what crime. I mean, I don't think he would. He probably wasn't even pardoned. But these are the thoughts and the ideas that are put into people's head. This is what they're taught. This is what they believe. Putting two and two together is really not on the forefront of people's thinking.
A dead
How?
man? Really?
Yeah. That's how that. I mean, that's my opinion only. That's my move. They what they tell you is like, why are you pardoning this dude today? What difference did that make? And how technology is set up, how the body area network, they can just pick out your thinking. They can pick up your thinking with everything that's going on. And most people would think, oh, Biden was a great president. He was good. He was good for us all. And he wasn't. So that's how I'm looking at it. Because I'm sure there's a feeling going around that, you know what? They not falling for this dumb shit no more. Somebody said that not just with us, but a whole bunch of people. Because a whole bunch of people, they're like, something ain't right. Those fires in California, something ain't right. You get that feeling going around everywhere. Now, there are, and this is most people, believe anything that they're told. Anything that TV says, your average person believes it. But more and more, there's a growing concern among people that something just ain't right. What you think about that, Lise?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that there is, but they try to hush it down so much you really can't gauge whether
But
people
Carrie,
have it to get.
a dead man for real? I mean, why not Diddy or someone like that? Why a dead man?
Yeah, Lisa, you were saying? Lisa, you there? Miss Cypress, are you still with us? Well, anyway, the point of what we're trying to say is, look, this is your thinking getting twisted up again. Is that the best they can do? Biden pardons Marcus Garvey? Is that the best they can come up with?
Well, I look at it this way. Not only is it laughable, but at the same time, it's a mockery and a slap in the face at the same time.
I agree.
because we all know what he was trying to do and why he's working with Walter Plecker. So, I mean, we're going from you ain't black if you don't vote for him to BLM. Now this,
So what do you think? What do you think the majority of people are thinking about this? What this pardon represents? What do you think they're thinking?
I'm gonna find out soon enough. Your guess is as good as mine. But those of us that know what that is, and I just said what it was, but for the rest out there, matter of fact, this may even be symbolism at its worst, to tell you the truth, because you're doing it for a dead man. It's symbolic.
So what is the symbolism behind it?
Well, I mean, they actually operate in terms of how they identify you as being dead. That's what these identifications are for, you know, dead people or the dead. So why not? You're
So
doing
you
it
think
for a dead man.
so you
And
think so you think this puts some kind of life or gives a jump start to the so-called African American or black people?
no, 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 it's not no jump start. It's a mockery. It's a mockery and a slap in the face for anybody that falls for the trap and walks into that you know what that represents. That's all it is. That's all I see it as.
Yeah. Elkerman says, Hotbay says they're censoring everybody because TikTok has been banned. That's another thing we got to talk about. TikTok was turned back on. So what was that? Is that because inauguration is tomorrow, or what's that from? Lisa, what do you think that's for?
I think the same problem with you believing that Biden cares about Marcus Garvey is the same problem you have if you believe that Trump cares about TikTok. Okay? The reality is these are all performers. They're all performing for us. They're not politicians are performers. One thing that you have to agree on, I have to agree on with what's her name, Candace. What's her name? That girl. What's her last name?
Owens.
Anyway, Owens. Yeah, Candace Owens is that she says they are all they all for show. They are all friends secretly. They all, and it's all for show. They're doing anything for the money, for the fame, for the theft because they're stealing everything that they can, and they're all in it together. And they play whatever side they can get on. Trump used to be a Democrat. He's friends with daggone the Clintons. You win whichever way you can. He's winning by playing a villain. He's being compensated tremendously for that. Playing the villain, he's probably the most compensated player as president we've had in the history of presidents because he's playing the villain, right? And I'm sure that his compensation is massive. He's stealing all over the world, as they all do. So I mean, this whole thing about TikTok, how you get to how do you change? So I own TikTok. How you gonna make me do anything? I don't understand how we even believe this stuff is possible. He's not even president yet. How do we believe that? How do we believe this stuff? And trust me, I'm not against or for him in any way, but the reality is you can't trust what you're told. You can't trust what you're told by the media. You have to put your own logic in it and think, does it make sense that this man could do this? And the other thing is, how about this whole immigration thing? Everybody's a first daggone gen that we're looking at just about these days. Trump is what, second gen or first gen? He's no more than first or second gen himself, right? What? Kamala, she's first gen, if she's not even first gen, because really it's this question whether she was born in the States or born in Canada or wherever she was born. Who's not first gen or second gen? So I mean, this whole thing about I'm against immigrants and your wife's an immigrant, your child's a half immigrant. Really, your child comes from the wife and the wife is an immigrant. She's, you know what I'm saying? What are we really talking about? Are we talking about melanated immigrants? Are we talking about immigrants from whatever country? You know, how are we really looking at this stuff? How do you even trust that even makes sense? That you be against immigrants and your wife is an immigrant? Does that make sense?
Nope.
Is it matter? You know, it doesn't. I mean, how do you even believe and trust any of that? I would say bullshit. Call bull. This is the thing. You need to call bull on everything that doesn't make sense. That's what you need to be doing. You need to question everything. And if it doesn't cut the mustard as far as your trust, then that's out. But they don't need to get your trust automatically, because that's what the American Indian does. We give our trust automatically. We assume that they have the same type of ethics and morals that we have, and they do not. They do not.
But you know what else is so clown about that? We do this to, like you say, first gen people, but your people who have been here for 7, 8, 9 generations, you call them Africans. Explain. And when you ask the African American to explain, instead of explaining, they do what they always do: get mad off of something you say. But what they do, they act like it's okay. Back to you, Lise.
Right. So this is the thing. I mean, we don't even, okay, so we need to just stop. Okay. They had something that came across my feed talking about Ben Affleck's house or somebody's house being detained or taken or whatever. And now I don't see it on my feed. But they put these things, any kind of nonsense out there to see if you're gonna believe it. See, what they're trying to create is fear. Fear that if this can happen to P. Diddy, then what about us? Why are they even, this is all ridiculous. P. Diddy ain't in no trouble. He's gonna get highly compensated for this shit that he's doing, right? Because all they're using him for is to create fear in the Negroes, get them all scared. Oh, this is what they doing to him for his, having all that daggone baby oil and just all this dumb stuff, keeping you distracted and confused. Really? They had the Playboy Mansion with underground tunnels and children running up and down there, and young girls in there living there on a regular basis, and him doing all kinds of stuff and sacrificing people and everything going on in the Playboy Mansion, and it was known by every government entity on the planet, and no one gave a damn. So now all of a sudden we're gonna believe that somebody cares about P. Diddy. You got daggone people that are still out here doing stuff besides Weinstein or whatever his name. What was his name? Harvey Weinstein. Did he get this kind of daggone attention? I don't think so. What about all the people on the list? The so-called list. What happened to that? See, all this stuff disappears. And we don't remember it, and we don't want to call anybody on account about it. Short attention span, forget about it, don't care, don't daggone keep a daggone record, nothing. How many people do we know that have been stars that have so-called died under mysterious circumstances, and we don't want to call out that their lives were ended? We don't want to say that. We don't want to declare that their lives were ended. We just let it go, even though none of them make sense. People like, some people that are lifelong addicts, they're professional addicts. They're not professionally trying to murder themselves. They're professional addicts. Like Whitney was a professional. What the heck? You think Whitney hadn't been high in the bathtub before? Well, come on now. Come on now. We
So why do you think why do you
come
think the so-called Negro, African American, Black, especially, I'm not talking about just everyday people like us. I'm talking about the people who are in these government roles, these people who are high up on the
well, these
stage.
people are they're dumber than we are. They're worse than we are. Why? Because they're seeking the glory and attention of strangers to make their living, right? So they're really acting as if they're movie stars or whatever. They're seeking attention on the level of the Hollywood, elite or the Hollywood stars or whatever. They want that kind of notoriety. They want to be accepted. They're people that always want to be accepted. They want everybody to like them, right? Those kind of people are dangerous anyway. The kind of people that are always caring that what people think are gonna do whatever they need to do to be thought of in the right way, right? Right?
Right.
They're gonna cover up whatever they have to, right? So
Is it
why do we
is it a
trust those types?
is it a point, and I'm sure you've heard this before, is the world is a stage, and all these people that you see on the TV and in mainstream media, they're part of the production?
Everybody's part of this production. And some of them aren't smart enough to even know they're part of production because they're just wanting to be on in the media that they don't even understand the media that they're in. Some of them aren't even wise enough to understand what they're actually involved in. You know what I mean? Like they're really not very bright. So there's that. There's the ones like when we saw Bill Maher act like a complete idiot during the whole pandemic. Well, we know this mother sucker is smarter than that, okay? But he bowed down and act like the stuff was real. And he's paid. He's a paid performer, okay? He's a paid performer. Because when you see people that know, have you know, having high intellect, right? And they do stuff totally out of character. Him, Spike Lee, taking a daggone oath to the pandemic, right? Pledging to the pandemic. Even Trump was trying to skip aside the pandemic. He said very sensible things that a lot of very ignorant people thought was unsensible. Like him when he said, "Oh, if they want the numbers to go down, they need to stop testing." And everybody thought, "Oh, that's appalling! How ignorant he would say something like that." But that was fact. That was not ignorant. That was a fact. Because when you roll into these cities that were having these massive numbers, like in Florida, people were wrapped around blocks and blocks and blocks of territory trying to get tested. Of course, their numbers are going to grow up because this daggone particular virus is very common. And they picked it in particular for that reason. And the testing method is a very common testing method that has been around for, man, them damn swabs have been around for, I don't know, decades, decades, and decades. It's a very rudimentary methodology, very, very simple organism. So, of course, you're going to find it the more you look. And he was not being an idiot, nor was he being daggone dismissive, nor was he being an asshole. But everybody thought when he said, well, they just need to stop testing, that he was being flippant. That wasn't flippant, that was factual. But when you don't know the difference between what's factual and what's flippant, can't help you, sir. I can't help you not be ignorant and then have an attitude when someone's telling you the truth that you can't recognize.
I find that's the main point. When the truth is being spoken, people just get pissed off. Don't you find that weird? Edwin, what do you
Yeah.
think about that? When you see, everyday things like, I mean, stuff that is normally common to you, normally that you would throw your nose at. And when it comes on mainstream, you just go along with it, or you act like you're offended by the truth. What is that? How do people fall into that trap?
Well, I know you once said it yourself. You said the television says most people's brains, but um, you're when you're subjected to mind control, you know, being a you know mainstream or mass mind control media controlled individual, anything that goes against that narrative, you're going to resist the truth. The truth, the saying that the truth is stranger than fiction has everything to do with you being programmed with, falsehoods for most of the time of your life. But it comes down by way of the education system, entertainment, mass media, newspapers, things like that, including, I have to throw it in there, organized religions themselves. The truth becomes stranger than fiction. And depending on who you are, will determine, you know, whether you're controlled by it. Your mind control is real. It's basically information control in its lighter forms. Then there are more rigid forms of mind control through what's called trauma-based programming. A lot of those individuals you see on the world circuit or set, a lot of them have handlers. They have had, you know, um, trauma-based programming. You don't know those people. You do not know what's happening behind closed doors from the time that they're children until adulthood. You don't know who these people are. You have no clue whatsoever. My trauma-based programming has been, you know, pretty much exposed or at least presented by whistleblowers that described it, you know. So it varies. And yes, the world is a stage. That say holds true because we got a lot of actors out here, not just in the political machine, but also amongst us. They're involved in secret societies. And if you know anything about secret societies, you understand the rituals that they be doing are absolutely satanic anyway. So it is what it is. So even regardless of what subject matter there is, the last broadcast or show we did, remember when I said that a special forces individual that um specializes in psychological warfare, he said according to that television, FCC, that television set is nothing more than an entertainment device, which means anything broadcast from it, and of course I said its equivalent doesn't have to be true or real.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and you're absolutely right about that. But this is very important, something Lisa just put up. Uh, what does ignorant mean? And when you ask a lot of people that, they suck their teeth and get pissed off because they think it means stupid. No. And this is what I'm saying. The education we get, you're not being educated, you're being made to be dumb. Ignorant is just what it says. You see, the first half of the word is ignore. Ignorance doesn't mean dumb, it means you're ignoring. And the suffix ant, something that we don't talk about, something that we don't teach our children, something we don't learn about, the suffix ant means you're just performing, you're doing. That's all it means. You're performing, ignoring. And you know how many of us are. Well, I don't want to know. You don't tell. I don't want to know. La 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 la. I don't want to hear it. That's what most of us do. We don't want to know nothing. We don't care. We ignore. Anytime the truth come up, we ignore it. We try to make the person who's bringing the information. We try to dog them out. But the person who will come and lie to you and bullshit you, you will pat them on the back and give them a pony back ride. So we have to understand. Well, you may not have to understand it, but make sure your children don't go through the same dumb shit you went through, because remember, all they are an extension of you. and you become an extension of them. That's we don't even understand how life works because we've been in these insane asylums called schools. We don't know nothing about life. Don't try to find out. Don't care. You don't thinking what we know. That's all there is to know. And then when you ask a person about what they know, I don't know. That's how the African American and black. So you see that the people that you can pull up old drawings, you can go to other countries and look at the drawings and paintings on their wall. You will see your mama. You will see your daddy. You will see yourself. I pulled up images drawn on churches in Germany of the people here, and I found a picture that looks just like me. Scared the shit out of me. There's no such thing as death. There, no, if your mother's dead, she's going to be with you forever. You're going to think of her forever. And if your children meet her or him, they're going to think of them forever. She'll be back. She might be back through you. She might be back through your granddaughter. These are things because we don't take on the spiritual aspects of the Americas. We take on the spiritual beliefs of other people. Huh? That's why they call you black. That's why they call you African. So they can come and usurp all your stuff. And being that we love being ignorant, don't we? We love it. You can't tell me nothing. I do what I want to do. You ain't my daddy, nigga. That's how we are. You teach your children that. Your children teach their children that. And if you happen to come back through here, you're going to be taught that again. Why? Because you won't take the 5 minutes to look up simple words, simple phrases in your language. Because what your language is what everybody's speaking. You're not speaking English. This is your language. All you have to look at is what these people wrote when they first got here. They didn't spell how they spell now. They didn't speak how they speak now. When a new phrase comes up, it's you. People talk in your language. But we so upside down, man. We don't, I can do what I want to do. You know the attitude. So this is what I mean. All this stuff that's going around, what Biden doing, what Trump is doing, is to confuse you and keep you in the mindset that you're in now. Lisa, wouldn't you agree?
I agree. It's absolutely that. It's a intelligence test with their testing. You know, they're always testing us. And
Always,
yeah,
because when you speak, everybody listens. When you
hmm
move, so you know what I noticed this week? This is funny. I noticed the fist bump is real popular. I never noticed it before, but now when everybody greets, they greet in the fist bump. Wasn't that something that your fathers, your uncles, your sons put out? Now everybody's doing it. See, when you what they say, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans. Aren't when they in America, they do what Americans do? Huh? We won't even look at it like that. Oh man, you just saying blah, blah, blah. Don't everybody come here and try to be like you? Everybody. We don't, we'll throw it away and say that I don't do that. We'll try to be like them. Yeah, like Sav say, dapping. Everything you do, the world tries to do. The way you speak, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dance. But you from Africa somewhere. Don't know where. Africa is a continent that takes up a huge part of the earth's surface. You can't even pinpoint that. But you can pinpoint where your your great grandmama's from, but you say you Africa, you don't know from where over there. You see how far we move away from ourselves? That's what I mean, thinking backwards, moving, running away from yourself. What the African American does. Anybody who can prove that what I'm saying is not true, I'll send you a free book. If you can't prove it, you send me the cost of the book. Nobody takes me up on that. You what other people say you are, you believe it and try your best to be what they say you are. Right? Is that right, Edwin? We try to be what other people tell us we are.
Yeah, you're right about that. You know, Cooper made a very interesting comment. That is true. You know, they throw at you all kinds of saviors from the time you're a child all the way into adulthood. That savior narrative, that, you know, savior slash hero worship, it comes in all kinds of forms, in forms of police, doctors, lawyers, you know, you name it.
So
And
Lisa, you were saying being blissfully ignorant and simple minded. What points were you making on that?
Well, it's just the same revolving door of issue where we have to just keep asking ourselves, why do we refuse to question things? Why do we just accept whatever anybody says as a fact? Why do we trust the media? Why do we trust these officials? Why do we trust these politicians? Why do we trust these stars, these whatever? Why do we trust so much? Why don't we actually research? Why don't we question? And why don't we lead with skepticism? Because everything deserves it. Why aren't we comparing? Why aren't we analyzing? We're just accepting everything. And it just makes us look ridiculous. And it's not that we're truly ridiculous. It's just that like I said, we give people attributes that they don't have. They're not honest and they're not trustworthy. And we give them those attributes without them actually earning them.
So you're saying it's kind of like we bury ourselves.
We do, because like I said, but see, at a certain point, you have to understand that even early on, evidently, our ancestors must have realized that these people are not trustworthy. That's why they created all the insurances that they did with the patents and whatnot. You know what I mean? They didn't just say, well, we trust they're going to do what they say and keep to themselves and not take up all our land. They didn't just do that. They said, okay, no, we better put this down. We better record this. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah. So what do you?
instead, if it was reversing today, we probably would be like, man, we trust what they say. They said that they're going to do it, then we'll just wait. We'll just wait.
So
Wait
what
on
do
them
you
to do
think?
it.
So let me ask you this, because I think you got a really nice answer for this. So what you just said, say they wrote stuff down, and they wrote stuff down so we could be aware of what was going on. What do you think they would say if they knew? And I'm sure they do know. That's why you're seeing a lot of
Mhm.
changes happen. Or how do you think they feel about how the way the majority of people act today?
I mean, it's devastating. It's devastating to our ancestors. It's gotta be, to see what we've given away in just 60 years, what we've let go of in just 60 years. It's devastating to me to see it. It's got to be devastating to them because, first of all, they were stating disbelief the whole time. When we were going around, the young people were going around saying, "Yeah, we're black." They were like, "Don't call me black." You know what I mean? That's what the elders were saying. And we were
Right.
going around talking like, "Yeah, I'm African American." Well, I don't know nobody from Africa in our family. They were standing their ground. They weren't trying to tell us we were stupid. They weren't trying to tell us we were dumb. They loved us a little more than actually saying it like that, I guess. But they should have said that to us, because we kept pursuing whatever the predators and the invaders told us to pursue. We pursued that as a fact, just ignoring what our elders told us, what our grandparents told us. We just went for whatever they fed us in these colleges, and took it all hook, line, and sinker, and then fed it to our offspring, and so on and so on, and taught it to each other, and organized ourselves around this misinformation, having all kinds of African American studies programs and clubs, and getting all our everything. We did everything around it, and nothing around what we were taught by our own families.
So
That's really horrific.
do you think there have been more Marcus Garveys since Marcus Garvey? Or how many more do you think there've been? I'm talking about in the teaching, in the churches, and all of that. Do you
I
think we've been
think yeah, Marcus Garvey followers have grown exponentially with the more education these so-called people have. With the more with all the so-called education, miseducation, they want to call education. Yeah, because during Marcus Garvey's time, you saw that movie that we played. I played a few years back, where they was making fun of Garvey. They made a whole movie. It was called The Black King or whatever,
right?
and it was a whole movie making fun of Garveyism and Garvey. They had a guy playing Garvey, and the brothers and sisters were trying to tell him he's a fraud, and he was making all kinds of fake promises and stuff, trying to get people to go to Africa, get on a boat. Yeah, I mean, so even in the early 1900s, people did thought it was a joke.
Did
I mean,
and this is what I ask people: did your grandparents follow him? Did your
mhm,
grandparents ever speak about him?
right.
And everybody says no. So that's what I'm talking about, the people who are influenced by these stories and how those stories are put out, because they still have Marcus Garvey fans clubs to this day, don't they?
And
People
we have to
still
ask
go,
ourselves why.
one more
Why?
time.
Why? Why?
Right. And if that same thing was going on today, what happened with Garvey, we would kill it. Here's a guy telling you to go somewhere that he's never been or never went to, and we don't get it. I mean, we don't get it today. Many people don't get that today. He's telling you to go to a place that he's never been to, never went to, and you're still influenced by that. Like you said, why?
Hey, Carrie, you know it's
Yeah.
real bad when you tell people, look how many times they reclassified us. You would have you would have thought they would have got it by then. Only us.
Only us.
Yes.
Only us. And so like it's like the brother just said, that would be Umar Johnson or whatever the name is. You can do all this DNA and ancestry.com and you never find out who these people are. You never look up who they are. That's what I'm saying. Stuff just go over our head. We don't even see it. We don't even question it. We don't even think about it. And I'm saying this is what you pass on to your children. So let's say you start off as a seed and your children or your leaves or your fruit. When that fruit hits the ground and that seed goes back into the ground, what is it producing? More of the lies that you told them. And I guess as you get older, and you're supposed to get more intelligent. I guess people are so embarrassed they don't want to say nothing. I've seen that a lot too. You question people as they get older. I just got a video from a lady who's 102 years old. Brilliant. You know, a lot of the things she say, you can tell is when she went to school. Because remember, a lot of our people didn't start getting educated until that Brown versus Board of Education. That's why when you talk about your grandmothers and grandfathers and great grandmothers and great grandfathers, they'd have a sixth grade education and would be brilliant, damn near genius. They had to stop that and start educating you themselves. We don't get it. Black folks just don't get it. Is that the Marcus Garvey, Lise? You talking about the Marcus Garvey film?
That is it. That's the Black King. That's the Marcus Garvey film. 1932. I guess they made fun of him.
And it's another strange thing about that time. Look at all of these groups that came up. The Nation of Islam, all these groups come out, and when you check out their origins and what they did, it'll blow your mind. People still get pissed off when I say the Fard Muhammad, he was a heroin dealer. Wasn't heroin the crack in the 1930s? It's right in your face. You go to talk to some brothers in Detroit, they'll tell you. And we don't and this one thing, we'll still pass down the bullshit that was given to us 50 years ago. We'll pass that on to our children and grandchildren and get pissed off when somebody tells the truth. That's the African American. That's the Black person. That's what we do. So when you wonder how come things don't get better, because we work hard as hell to make it stay the same, don't we? So this is the film you guys might want to check out. Lisa, it's called what?
Oh, I'm gonna play a little bit of it. It's called The Black King. It's on YouTube. Let me go ahead.
Look at that conch.
Yes, sir. Look at here. The band is waiting for the strike as soon as you're ready. Sure is a grand sight. There ain't never been nothing like that since the Lord made us out. One of the grandest parade you ever laid your eyes on. Do you? Them Tulsa gals is too bad.
Is you keeping your mind on your office, Brother Longtree?
The office is well carried out, sir, and I hope it'll meet your recruiter.
My time till I get back. I just been spoken with one of them reporter fellas. Tell him about the arrangements we done made with the Africans to come over there and rejoin them in our native land. And he done hauled off and took a likeness of me and put it in the paper. Who's the Emperor of the United States of Africa, you or me? Tell that newspaper fella that I repose with my revenue assignment. That's the picture to go in the papers with the reporting he's going to do in the papers.
He was
19
creating the United States of Africa, right? The United States of Africa. Okay. So I mean, come on now.
And so if you look, so this is what makes all of that cool. If you look at the cats who's with Marcus Garvey in that in that major picture what he had with Walter Plecker, if you look at the guys behind him, aren't those the guys that's in there talking to him with all the glimmer and the them fancy costumes they wear? Isn't that
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
behind?
Mm-hmm.
And see, these are the kind of things we got to put together, because remember, you're trying to let your kids see. And when you keep talking that old bullshit that don't work, that never worked and never will work, you're just putting them backward to 1932. And we're in 2025, damn near 100 years later. And this is the shit you still worship. This is the stuff you still bow down to. Yeah. And then embarrassed and won't say, and this is all you got to do. All you got to do is admit that you're wrong and change. That's all you got to do. Didn't your mama teach you that? Tell the truth. Shame the devil. For some reason, we don't. We think you can just hide it. Do that. What's these groups, these organizations that continuously lie to you just so they can stay part of the organization? Isn't this what Greeks do, Negro Greeks, so they can be a part of that? Nothing Greek about them. They mamas and daddies on the money back in the 1800s, but they traded that in to be a Greek. This is what the African American Black does. I'm just saying it. And remember, thinking, saying, doing. Doing is more concrete. Doing is the action. I'm just saying what happened. But the African American, every time they hear the truth, they get mad. Why is that? Why is that, Edwin? Why do every time the truth is spoken, the African American or Black gets mad and want to beat up somebody? Why is that so prevalent?
Well, can't speak for all of them, but you mentioned something about ignorance, right? Well,
Right.
let me say this. Willful ignorance is when you don't want to know the truth about anything. Sometimes it's based on fear, other times it's laziness, and most times you don't want to be responsible for your actions. So you got three of those possibilities. And then here you come along and you try to take them out of their comfort zone. Oh, yeah, they're going to get upset. Yep.
Oh, well, let me just tell you why I do that. And I do that because it was done to me. I was raised up like everybody else to be dumb. But when I saw, the errors of my ways, I immediately changed. Why? Because I don't want to pass that on to my children, grandchildren, great grandchildren. And I don't want them to pass it on to theirs the same way. Because I may be one of those children getting the same shit again. Isn't that how it's done? And we like to pretend like that's not how it happens. So, Lisa, could you share what your granddaughter told you or asked you this past week? Now, this is a child. Check out what she said. Can you share that with us, Lisa?
Are you talking about the Barbie, the Santa Claus Barbie, the
No,
Christmas
oh,
Barbie?
no, about her saying, Grandma, did you carry me too?
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, we were together talking, and she was like, "So, so Grandma, I was in your tummy, right? I was in my mommy's tummy and your tummy." And I said, "Yeah." And so then her brothers start coming up, and they're like, "So was I in your tummy too?" And I was like, "Yeah, you were my tummy." Well, how about the other one? How about my other brother? Was he in my tummy? He in your tummy? I said, "Yeah, he was in my tummy too." And what about the oldest one? Was he in the tummy? Yeah, he was in the tummy. He was in the tummy too. And they was just like, "Oh wow, we was all in the tummy."
That's cute.
It was so cute. And I
And
was like,
so,
yeah, got a kick out of that.
and so this is the point, I'm trying to make. These are children, and they recognize that. The mothers are the ones who give life. But the so-called African or black man, because they've been indoctrinated with that Christianity where men give birth to women, amen. That's what we believe. And you ask your average female, have you ever seen a man give birth? And they'll look at you like you got shit on your forehead. This is the stuff we pass down to our sons today. Why a vast majority of the so-called men in our collective have such a disdain for women, because this is what they're taught, and it could simply end, but we don't seem to care. We think it's cool doing that, and my question is why? And like Sav says, this is why we traced our lineage through our mother's DNA. That's why they call it Mother Earth. Why? Because the earth and mom give us the same thing. Give us life. Give us the foundation to, isn't it your mama that say, wash your face, brush your teeth, take a bath, be clean, don't lie? Aren't mothers the ones who usually tell you that? Now, I know there's going to be some, my father told me that too. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Dad say that too. But isn't it normally moms who have you close to them all the time tell you that? We don't even care about that. We act
You
like
know,
the person who's passing that information is lying. Edwin, you was gonna say something?
yeah, I want to say this. And if Thomas is on here, I tell him again, I appreciate what he's done. He did my genealogy. He's not finished yet. I hit a brick wall at 1821 on what's that app again? Ancestry.com. He went back all the way to 1680, 1670, I think, you know, on my mother's side, you know, very appreciative of that. But what is really a shame and very tragic is when you let certain people know that all of us didn't come from Africa. Now, you never know who you're talking to. I know you got these European Negroes too that are here as well, but it should at least trigger something in your mind, in your heart, in your soul that you're tied to this landmass while you're here. At least that's how I feel about it. Now, don't get me wrong. I do recall on my mother's side and my father's side Indian. I do recall that. But you go through, the brainwashing and the public food system makes you forget all that. Plus, at that time I didn't delve any, I didn't have the mindset to go any further with it. Why they said those things. But all I can't overemphasize. All I'm saying is it should be an uplifting experience for you to know that you're tied here. And I always say this, people. I says, what good is it you thinking you're from overseas while you're still here? That's not going to do you any good. Doesn't serve any purpose. You're going to advertise that while here in America. There used to be a guy on A4. I actually like that post he did. I'm not going to describe the post on the air, but I think his name was Wendell Beckett. And he basically, explained, I guess because he got sick and tired of it, how they have us over here. Some of us are over here for advertising being African, doing it while in America. more than the ones that are referred to as Africans by us over there. It was the way he put it. I'm not saying it verbatim, but it was something like that. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, and as we come to a close, and this is what I mean, just using a little common sense. Do you honestly think a wood-driven ship can sail from Africa across the Atlantic with people pissing and shitting on each other, and the people get off that ship to work if they're all not dead? Now, if you talk to your average nurse, she'll tell you, especially if she's been around people who's dying, that those people have to be cleaned every day if they're going to survive. These doctors telling you from Africa, these professors telling you from Africa, you don't, they never question that. And these are the people who train you. These are the people that train your children to be what they are today. So that's just something I just wanted to have to share with you for you to keep in mind. Closing arguments. Jay Smith, closing arguments.
Well, all I got to say is this. Don't fall for the hype that's on mainstream media, the television set, and anything that opposes what you should be doing. And that is, whoever's listening that hasn't done it, just do your genealogy, have it done by someone who's very good at it, and reach out to any surviving members of your family, because more than likely you're not from overseas. You're right. You have been here all along, and be mindful of the fact that they reclassified us multiple times throughout the years. So that should give you a clue. And stay vigilant. Vigilant. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, brother. Miss Lisa.
Yes, basically, we need to question everything, believe nothing, trust nothing, research everything, research it again, use several sources, but always look for the earliest source you can find, the most primary, because you don't want to get a remix. You're not trying to look for someone's current opinion. You need to find out for yourself based upon, it's best to find it before people have an agenda, before they became tainted, if possible. You know what I mean? But understand that we've been lied to about everything that's happened, every war that has occurred in this country and outside of this country, conditions of living here, how we was living, how advanced the society was. It's all been misrepresented. So we need to reset ourselves with the truth. That's all I have to say.
And resetting yourself with the truth is simple. You remember all the things your mama told you, the cool stuff that she told you. Where do you think she got it from? Where do you think your dad got it from? Their parents. Where did they get what they know from? Their parents. And remember, you've been brainwashed. They've been brainwashed right along with you. So if you just do some simple genealogy, go back a few generations, you're guaranteed to look at yourself in a whole different light. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. I know y'all missing the football game tonight, but I hope this was worth it. You guys have a good night, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.